guys, Mayflom here, and what I want to do today, so I've got this piece of watercolor paper that I found while I was cleaning up, and it's got a little sentiment stamped here and a little bit of watercolor play, but I never did anything with it. And my thought is I want to make a card and I want to make it layered, but I want to customize the layers and the what shape everything's cut out and all that kind of stuff. I want to customize that to the image itself. I also want to see if I can make a shape around here only partially cut through and then tear. See if I can make a little bit of tearing. So I've got a lot of technique stuff in mind, and I'm thinking the scan and cut could help me out. And I want to show you, because we do scan and cut things and make cut files, but there's another way the scanner works too that I show sometimes, and that's what I want to show you here and now. So I'm going to put, this is very heavy, heavy, heavy watercolor paper. So I'm going to keep a finger on it only because I want to make sure while it scans that it stays there. So what I'm going to do first is, I'm thinking that I want a circle. So I'm going to go in here and grab a circle. I'm not going to size it. I'm not going to move it. I'm going to push this button right here. And what that's going to do is scan and show the background. And actually it's sticking down nicely for right now, so I don't need to hold on to it. And it shows me where this is. So what I can do is I can then take my shape and I can play with it. If I want to size it down, if I want to make it bigger, small, whatever I want to do, I can do that. But what I really love about this, and I can zoom in as well, and what I love about that is I can really take a look at what's going to show. I can take a look and see where things are going to be positioned, if I like it, if I don't, if I want it to be, in this case, I want it to be a bit smaller, just a little bit more. And I'm going to say, okay, and then again, I'm going to zoom in so that I can make extra sure that I like where it is. And I do. I think I might move this up just a little bit. Yeah, I like that. Just a little bit. There we go. Okay. And once I am happy with it, all I have to do is cut. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to cut this at 6. This is a really heavy paper. It needs like a deep cut blade or to be all the way up at like 10. This is a really heavy paper. That's not going to cut through, but that's intentional because I want to give something a try. So I'm just going to say, okay, and cut. Here it is, and you can see that it cut through partially. Okay, it cut part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try here, move this out of the way a little. I'm going to try tearing. Look at, it's working. I'm so excited. Okay, so this is what I was hoping for. All right, it's letting me tear around, and I'm just kind of pushing down and around to make sure I'm seeing where this, where's the line? Where am I tearing to? So what's kind of cool about this is such thick paper that I can even go so far as to tear that top layer of paper away, tear some of that paper away so it's a thinner paper that's under and showing through, and I can just kind of tear this down however I like. If I want a lot, if I want a little, I'm really excited about that. That's just a really cool look to me, and that's exactly what I was kind of hoping to get, although I didn't want quite so much of an edge. But in my experience, what works better is have a larger edge and then tear it down versus trying to get exactly perfect small edge first. So I'm just pulling a little bit of that, and then I'm kind of just like ruffling that up. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's just what I wanted. So look at how this looks up close. Isn't that cool? Just with the partial cut. That works on really thick paper. That's not going to work on, say, my next cut, which is going to be vellum. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to glue this on. Let's see, our mat. Yep, our mat's going to hold it. And I'm going to take a piece of double-sided tape, just one in the middle, and I'm going to glue this down with a bit of an edge. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go back. So I'm just going to go back and I'm going to re-scan the mat. So I can see now where that circle is. It's up here. Now I'm going to go in. That's not going to be with the shape I want though. So for right now, I'm just going to hit add. And I'm thinking about a flower. Let's see if we can do a flower. It might not work, to be honest, because of the center. I may not be able to get a flower that will go around big enough, but we can give it a try. I'm gonna just say okay and just cut the blue part. I think this might work. So what I'm gonna do now is I have to get rid of that circle, so I'm just hitting delete. I'm gonna bring this flower on over and I'm gonna enlarge it a bit until we can get, so to enlarge it, I'm gonna have to enlarge it quite a bit to get it big enough so that it's not cutting, and I'm gonna show you this. So you can see here, in order for me to get this so that it doesn't cut my circle, it's gonna have to be really big, and I'm gonna have to make a giant card. So that's probably not my best bet. So I'm gonna go back in, and this time, just find a different shape. Maybe find a more appropriate shape. It might need to be more basic. I'm actually thinking it'd be fun to have a little scalloped box. And notice that that stays there, okay? I can still have my circle there. It's still gonna show up. And I can even, again, I can zoom in so that I can make sure that I am seeing things on, you know, that things are on the outside. And in this case, I can see that I need to make it a little wider. If I push this button right here, I can change only the width. Whoops, and I'm changing it the wrong direction. There we go. Okay, and if I want to double check myself, I can go in there and just make extra sure it's what I want. If I need it a little smaller, or I decide, you know what, I'm okay with it cutting in a little bit, I can certainly make those choices. But once I'm happy with it, all I have to do is, we're just repeating. We're just gonna say, okay, and cut. Now I've got a piece of blue paper under here, and this time I'm gonna go ahead and delete all the patterns. This time I want a heart. Let's see, it's gonna be right in here. There it is. And this time what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead, that's not necessarily accurate, so I'm gonna go ahead and scan once again. And this time what I'm gonna do is, I didn't tape this down, I just had it sitting there. So this time what I'm gonna do is basically just use that as a guide for about how big I want my heart to be. And I need to decide, do I want my heart to be so big? Look how big I have to get it to have it fully fit in there. That's not going to work. So I get to decide, okay, based on that, you know, about how much of this heart do I want to have peeking out from my piece. And I could also play with, at this point, I'm going to be able to play with a few different things. I want it 5 1/4 inches. I think that's going to be a really good size for me. I think that's going to pair nicely, and I'm just going to say, okay, now I'm not cutting this part out as well, just the paper. So I'm going to make sure, just like with the vellum, that I have it way down low. It needs maybe a 2 to a 3. Might be able to need a double cut, meaning have it cut once, have it cut again, because there are some kind of heavy fibers in there. We'll see what it needs. I would personally rather cut it once, see what happens. Oh, and that's the other thing, is I can move this up to the corner and say, okay. I would rather cut it twice than have it be way too much. So the way I check, and that's why I'm leaving the video running, so you can see the way I will check here if what I did worked. Okay, it lifted up a little at the end there. That's one of the things that you can see sometimes with the really fibrous papers. So it lifted up just a tiny bit at the end, but that's a really easy fix. So if it does that to you, you're just going to take a pair of scissors and snip. What if it's going to do some tiny, tiny spot? And that's the risk I take, especially when I use these kinds of fibrous papers. A lot of times they just kind of jam up a little, especially at the end. It got hung up on trying to cut along that. No big deal. So now I've got that cut out. I'm unloaded my mat. Now we can assemble our card. So I've got a background that I was already utilizing for something else, but it didn't quite work out. It's 5 1/2 inches square, and it's a little card here. And then I've also, you'll notice some stitching here. I just stitched around the edge of my heart. You don't have to do that. That's optional. And now I'm kind of gluing things together, but what I want to do is I want to add a little ribbon and a little trim. So I'm going to gather those embellishments. I've got some ribbon with double-sided tape on it that I'm putting down here. I'm just kind of stretching across, just that added texture, that added detail. And I'll put a little bit of liquid adhesive on the back of the vellum, not a ton, but just a little bit here, and put that down. And then I can trim off any excess ribbon. And if there are any embellishments that I want to add, this would be a great time to do so. I was kind of thinking something like a key, or maybe a key. I kind of like a key, like right there. So I'm going to put a little more liquid adhesive. Not, again, it won't need a lot, but it needs enough to really hold down. Now, you don't have to do dimensional embellishments. If you stopped right here, you could mail this with, you might need additional postage for the size. I don't remember the size limitations, but if you start adding dimensional things, I recommend doing that either if you're shipping as a part of a present, so there's going to be a package that you're mailing. I recommend either doing that or hand delivery. Now, if you want any additional accents, this would be the time. I want to add a few little buttons and sequins just because I feel like it adds a lot of fun. And if I'm going to put a bit of weight on a card, you know, and I know it's not going to be just a flat mailing card, then I like to have a little bit of fun here and add a few little embellishments. I'll add something right there. And whoops, careful of my glue there. This will just add some fun detail. It'll also just kind of add a little more art to our artist's card. And let's see, move that out of the way. Just put some little shaped sequins, some little buttons, have some fun with it. You know, if there's something that you like or something you think, wow, I'd like to have that on my project, well, then go for it. I'm a big fan of just going for it and seeing where it takes you. Once you've gotten all your embellishments, if there's anything else you want to add, maybe some glitter glue, maybe you're in the mood for some sparkles or some mist or something else, go ahead and add that. And once you're all the way done and you're all the way set, then, well, you just have to gift it. This project was a lot of fun. I love working this slightly different than usual approach with the scanNcut, using the scanner to scan my sizes so I could get the just right sizes for my card without, you know, just working from there. And I absolutely love my partial cut intentional tear. I will be doing that more with watercolor paper in the future because that is just really, really super fun. I'm just gonna give this a bit of a shake, see if I can get some of the little beads. They fall to the bottom, and then when I want them, I just give it a little shake like that so that they'll float on up to me to the top. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's so much fun. I hope you have enjoyed this little tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or shoot me an email. I am going to just add a little gold here and then head on off and go gift this to a creative person, which could be anyone, because I really do believe we all are creative and all are artists in our own ways. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you next time.